Hello and welcome to Hexed Encountered. My name is Joe. In this video, we'll be taking a first look at an upcoming game that has not been released yet. It will be going into Kickstarter in the not too distant future. It's from Princeps Games, and it is the Battle of Khalkin Gol, July through August 1939. So if you're familiar with that battle, it was obviously the war. There was no actual war, but the Japanese were in Manchuria and the Soviets obviously border it. So there was some fighting there. And this game follows on the heels of Princeps Games' Freezing Inferno, which covered the Winter War of 1939-40 between Finland and the Soviet Union. And the mechanics are somewhat similar. So let's just take a look at what's in the box. This is a pre-production copy, but it is in shrink, so I'm going to rip the shrink off. It got a little dinged up, it looks like, here on the corner, but that's not a big deal. So we're going to take the wrap off and see what we've got here. So let's open up the box. Well, before I open it, we can look at the back real quick. There's just a kind of a design on the back with the logo for the game company. It's really nice. I like the kind of distressed, old, kind of almost like an old leather look here. Really nice with the two flags. But I would assume that when the production copy comes, the box will probably have something else on the back. So here we go. So we have some map sheets, which we also had in the Freezing Inferno game. And we have counters. Some of them have fallen out. They punch really easy. This was also true of the Freezing Inferno game. So just to kind of quickly look here. So there are a couple copies apparently. These look identical. But you can see these pop out really, really easy. And the counters are very nice. They're large. And they, like I said, they come out really easy. This definitely reminds me of the Freezing Inferno. Very similar look with the counters. And you can see we've got more counters here. And like I said, the sheets are really, the counters are just falling out really easy here. So we have some Soviet cavalry apparently. Out of supply markers, etc. We have some Japanese, some tanks here, Japanese infantry, some artillery, etc. So, like I said, it's really similar and reminds me very much of Freezing Inferno, which you would expect. And we have our maps. They are wrapped in shrink wrap. Let's slide the box up here. Large map, two-sided, just like the Freezing Inferno game was. So here, let's start up at the top. So here's the top of the map. So this would be one style of the map. Nomenhan on there. And then we have the Holston River here at the bottom. Right here. And then if we flip this guy over, we have a little bit less fancy, and this would actually be the other side of the map. So again, looking at the top here, Fui Heights, you got kind of a trail. Baitsagan Hill. But this is obviously much more of a kind of traditional hex map with, basic colors for the terrain instead of, the more detailed stuff you see on this side. This side is a little bit more of the, terrain is a little bit more defined on this side of the map than the other. So let me get the other one out. So this is the same map as this one. So you can see them side by side here. So you can kind of compare the two. as you can see, basically the same terrain, right? So these are the same. This is one side, this is the other side, just so you can get an idea of what the two sides look like. So here you have Fui Heights and Fui Heights over here. You can see the green, right, and the tan, and then the brown correlates to the mountains, obviously. So yeah, you can kind of tell the differences between your more basic kind of hex map that is, you know, has a very kind of old school, almost like, you know, the old Avalon Hill games from like the 70s, where the terrain was very simple. It was mainly just colors, as opposed to this one, which is very nice. It's got, you know, texture and some variation between the hexes, even if they're the same terrain type. You've got a ford here and a ford here, but you can see the differences in the way they're laid out. So that's kind of the way the maps are. And this is a large map. So I will try to put it together into one shot for you, which will be a little tough because I don't have my big table set up at the moment. But that is a large map. Now, we also have here, I guess it actually goes this way. Just as we did with, again, Freezing Inferno. And I do have a video on Freezing Inferno if you want to check that one out. I guess, well, it looks like these go the other way. So, but basically, let's start here. So here we have all our big cards and player aids, right? So again, it works pretty similarly to Freezing Inferno in some ways. I'm going to do a playthrough so you can see the game being played. So this is more of an introductory video just so you can kind of see the components. And the components are very nice. And again, this is pre-production, so they may end up being different in the final product. But my guess is that this is fairly close to what they'll end up being. So you have an air-based strength, for example, for both sides. And the way the air works in this, I'll get into that when we do the gameplay video because it's kind of interesting. But you do have one for the Soviets, one for the Japanese. And then also you have your strategies here with espionage and deception for both. Here's our CRT. It's on a card. Very nice. And the same is true. Freezing Inferno is exactly like this. The components in their games, Princeps Games, yeah, are really nice. So here we have terrain attack modifiers, your terrain cost, and it shows both for map A and map B. So you can see that, you know, the map A is the kind of the fancy one, and map B is the more generic kind of looking one. And you can see the movement costs and everything for there. Here's your list of abbreviations. On the back, you've got basically your gameplay sequence, your action sequence, initial operations, round 1, rounds 2 through 8, your unit costs. And then down here we have weather conditions. This again, Freezing Inferno had weather conditions as well. So you roll for weather to see what the weather's like. Obviously that has an impact. So that is all of the kind of player aid cards that were in here. And then let's flip it around because it looks like this is supposed to be this way. So we have cards, and we had cards in the other one. So you have attack cards here. And then you also have some, well, obviously this is a Soviet officer. What else do we have? We have these turn cards. I remember these as well. This is an event. So you get on specific turns, you'll have event cards. And we have these little cards here. And over here we have our dice. So you can see, get a nice assortment of dice. 8-sider, a couple 12s. So, yep. All right. So I think I probably won't dig into this. I wanted to keep this video relatively short. I probably won't get the cards out, but you do get various decks of cards, as you can see. And again, if you played Freezing Inferno, the feel I get from this one is that it's fairly similar in some ways. I'm sure there are differences in the rules, which I haven't dug into enough to really say that for sure, but that's my feeling. And yeah, everything looks really nice. So for a pre-production game, this looks fantastic. I gotta say, and that's not the right box. These boxes come out, and I was really impressed when I got my Freezing Inferno at how cool cool these boxes are. So obviously the smaller decks go in the back, and your bigger decks will go in the front. And you can put whatever you need in here. Like obviously, you're probably going to end up storing some counters in these, as well as your decks. But it is a good way to keep your decks separated without having, even if you sleeve them or whatever, you don't have to worry about putting them in a bag or having them be all over the box or whatever, because you have a lot of space between all these compartments for that. So I think this is a really clever thing. So what I'm going to do is I'll see if I can get the map set up so we can get one whole shot of the entire map, both sides, and then we'll wrap the video and look for the gameplay video sometime within the next week or so. I'd actually like to get it done sooner than that. Let me straighten that out. But we'll see how things go. I just got back from vacation, so I'm a little behind. So here you have the two maps. First, we take a look at the one that is a more modern style, more artistic looking, and you can see the entire map here. It's basically a large square. I'd have to measure it, but offhand, it's probably 34 by 34 or so, I would say. And here's the other side, which is the more traditional hex map looking version. And obviously they're the same size. They have the same tracks going around them. And, you know, I guess it really will depend on what your personal preference is, which side you want to use. So that will do it. I do appreciate you checking out the video. If you have any questions, comments, etc., feel free to ask. As I said, I will be doing a gameplay video for this game in the very near future, so that when the Kickstarter campaign goes up, you guys will have something to refer to in terms of seeing the game being played, seeing all the components, at least these playtest versions of them, which I would guess are fairly close to what the finished product will be. So thank you for watching. Please consider liking, sharing, and or subscribing. And yeah, that's going to do it. So my name's Joe. This is the Hexed Encountered channel. And until next time, happy gaming.